you do realize I'm a short person, right?
So then I had to adapt.
Suck it up and really try.
That can affect your mental health, and I definitely saw that with other students.
For some people, it's a choice they want to make. For me, I realised that's not me.
I refuse to let the PhD control my life.
And I really, really cherish that.
Hi, my name is Jess Hamilton. I did my PhD at the School of Earth, Atmosphere and Environment in environmental geochemistry. And now I work in remediation of mine tailings and looking where trace metals are migrating to in the environment. And I use a lot of X-ray techniques to do that, including the Australian synchrotron. What did you learn from your PhD that prepared you for life after your PhD? I think, the main thing that I learned from the PhD, which actually has kind of pervaded through all aspects of life, is probably just the confidence to give stuff a go, even if I don't really know how to do it. So just like overcoming that initial fear of starting something or not knowing where to start. Every part of the PhD, you have multiple projects on the go and you don't know what you're doing in any of them. So it's just that continual getting practice at figuring stuff out and making mistakes and then fixing them and getting there in the end. And even if it's a really slow and painful process, you get there in the end. And then I guess that 4 years of experience kind of helps me out now, knowing, I did all that, I can learn how to paint a wall or, whatever. What was the most challenging aspect of the PhD? Definitely like the dread of an experiment just totally failing or making a mistake. Yeah, that's something that everybody would experience. You go into it and you have all these hopes and great ideas about what you're going to do and how it's going to work out. But then you can plan as much as you like and trial as much as you like, but sometimes it just doesn't work or it breaks. And yeah, that happened to me.
Can I ask what the failed experiment was?
Yeah. So I'd set up, the aim was to increase carbon sequestration using the waste rock from mining. And I had this this fancy setup. It was going to deliver acidic treatments to kind of be sprinkled out on the mine tailings independently. It was solar powered, it's going to operate for months, be all remote controlled. And then I'd come back a few months later and, take all the samples and sequester carbon dioxide. But about 2 weeks after we'd set it up, mind you, I'd been testing it for months and months in advance. We set it up and left it, and about 2 weeks later, a hose broke and it just spilled out everywhere and was gone, then burned out the pump motors and all the rest. So yeah, it was an epic fail. I was probably halfway through at that point, and that was like my one big thing. I was going to be the first person to kind of scale this up to out of the laboratory, go into the field and try it. So I was super excited about it, and it didn't really work out, but that's fine. but you have to just keep some perspective and have people around you to give you perspective. And it feels like the end of the world, but it's not. It's fine, and you can still get a PhD even if your one big experiment fails. There's always other side projects you can write up and make it work. What was missing from your PhD program that would have been helpful in navigating life after the PhD? I think, I guess the PhD is often thought of as this insular thing, but the 3 or 4 years goes pretty quick and then all of a sudden you need a job. Depending what that is, I think in the last few years, I found it really easy to apply for academic jobs, and I feel like I know how to write for them. What I'm doing is working, but there's been other times where I've been trying to apply for jobs in industry or something else, and I've found it really difficult to get callbacks. I think I'm doing something wrong. So I think one thing that I would have liked more of is some coaching or mentorship of how to prepare the skills that you are getting during a PhD for the majority of jobs which are not academic. It's usually, there's this assumption that you'll go on an academic path after the PhD, but most of the jobs are not in academia, and it's certainly not for everyone. I don't think I have the skills to apply for successfully for non-academic jobs. That's something I struggled with. What advice would you give yourself if you were starting a PhD again? I mean, I had a really good overall experience with the PhD. But looking back, I think the really important things that helped me was going for and seeking out all those little student grants and bursaries. There are so many available, and once you get a couple, it really helps you get more. And I got to travel the world mostly on student grants, and that was awesome. But also getting to conferences means you can network with people, and yeah, networking. It sounds cringy to say networking is important, and I hate networking. But yeah, looking back, a lot of the contacts that I did make at those conferences kind of facilitated jobs that I've had since. Yeah, if I had any advice to my former self, it would be to just, suck it up and really try to have conversations with people and do that. The only person who feels the cringe is you, and it's worth it. So yeah, that's probably the main thing.
Awesome. Thank
Okay.
you, Jess.
Thank you.
So, David.